The day started like all in recent memory, with a dark sky looming over the world. But despite the downpour, as our friend wakes to the sound of the storm, something about this day feels different. You take a moment to think, warming your hands in your cozy room. Even if it's gloomy, the chores still need doing. There's washing to be hung out and plants that need tending. As you fertilize the plants, one of the gourds springs to life and begins fluttering around the garden. Hello, Pepper. Looks like your gardening has really paid off. You have hung the washing on the line. It might be a while till anything dries, though. As the clouds clear, everything looks just a little brighter. Maybe today is finally the day that you venture out into the world. But first, let's freshen ourselves up a little. Fresh pot. You take down your favorite book. You take some time to read All Things Gourd. take your time and refresh yourself, emerging from your bath invigorated. You take a bowl of stew. Today is hearty. You take a moment to clean the dishes. You pour yourself a glass of your favorite drink. Nothing beats lemonade for refreshment. As our hero returns to the yard, they know that they are ready to head out beyond the comforts of home. Pepper seems to be beckoning you onward. It's scary, but you can do this. As you push the block into place, a bridge rises from below the water. At that, our hero, you step out into the lands of Yore. Far beyond your mountain glade, the world below stretched, from the forests to the west, to the marshes in the east, and lastly the great fortress in the north. It had been so long since you had left home, but now at long last you are ready to enter the world once more. Upon reaching the crossroads, it was clear the world had changed since last you saw it. The once bustling intersection now lay empty and in ruin. Just what happened during your absence? Northward was where the fortress stood. It marked the way to the crown of Yore, where the dragon Deimos lived. Surely someone in the fortress would have answers? The fortress lay empty and still. A feeling of deep despair hung heavy in the air. "Leave this place, adventurer," was all the figure said. But you remained. Nyla stood before you, the mighty captain of the guard. "I told you to leave. There is nothing for you here." She stood alone in the empty space. The fortress was once a lively place filled with guards and travelers on their way to Deimos. But now it was abandoned save for the solitary captain. What happened? You asked the mighty Nyla what had become of the fortress and the lands between, and the captain explained how Deimos had gone mad and terrorized the lands below. And now she alone stood as the last soldier, holding the gate shut, so that none could go beyond the fortress borders towards the crown where Deimos now slept. "It is no longer safe here. I cannot let you pass." You were shocked. Deimos gone mad? Surely that cannot be so. Deimos was always so gentle and kind. Something must be very wrong indeed. "I'm sorry. Please leave." You are left alone. But what now? Things just didn't make sense. Why would Deimos do such a thing? And why was Nyla all alone? You needed answers. It was time to explore the fortress and find a way up to Nyla. No power. Everything's locked down. It would appear that the fortress's power is tied to Nyla. The first step to figuring things out is understanding the beginning and the situation that has occurred. Now that you understand the situation, you must identify the thoughts that come from it. Now, with the situation, thoughts, and feelings understood, it is time to identify the actions that come next. No power. Everything's locked down. When you're feeling lost or overwhelmed, it's important to take some time to arrange how you tackle things. From what you've learnt, What order should the 4 steps go in? The ground floor was alive with power once more. All that remained was the barrier. With what you had learnt about the process of understanding the situation, thoughts, feelings, and actions, it was time for you to apply that knowledge to powering the first floor and finding Nyla. The floor now hummed with power. You were ready to open the elevator, opening up all of the fortress. No power. Everything's locked down. No power. Everything's locked down. No power. Everything's locked down. I thought I told you to leave. I've had it. If you will not listen to me, then I will force you. Oh dear. If the platform were to fall, you would be stuck here. Your adventure would be over, and Nyla, there would be no one left to help her. It's now or never. You must confront the captain. That was a close one. You have managed to gain control of the platform and are safe to travel back across. It's time to attend to Nyla. Nyla looked a little better thanks to your help. For once in a long time, she had a little more hope that perhaps things could improve. And maybe she need not always focus on what had gone wrong. And now, you ask your newfound friend what comes next. In helping the captain, you realize that you must have what it takes to do at least a little more. Nyla ponders on the question, and then has an idea. The captain explains that the lands of Yore have fallen apart, and if you are to confront Deimos, she will need to help. She suggests that they ought to venture west, next to the flustered forest. But that can wait. It's been a long day, and you have done so much. It's time to go home for the night and recharge for the adventure ahead. Go ahead. I shall meet you back at your home. What's this? It appears the way to the forest is open. Come morning, you can continue your adventure. Nyla will stand guard tonight. You can rest easy. Now off with you. To bed, hero. It's good to be back in our safe space. Now it's time to head to bed. You wake to the warmth of daybreak, the sun lightly falling across your face. It's the start of a new day. Before heading out, let's get ready. Sounds like breakfast time. You take a moment to think, warming your hands in your cozy room. Yum! This was certainly a good start to your day. Nyla thanks you. I'll clean up here. Go freshen up. When you're ready, come meet me outside. You have a busy day ahead. Let's head to the bathroom and clean ourselves up. You take your time and refresh yourself, emerging from your bath invigorated. Let's head out and find Nyla. Before heading out on your journey, Nyla wishes to gift you something. It will help in the trials ahead. The woods are a dark and confusing place. If you were to venture there, you will need the strength to safely pass through them. Thus, I will lend you this. Nyla gave you her bracelet. Upon slipping it on, you feel a newfound strength surge through you. With this, you ought to be able to lift even the heaviest of weights. With this, surely you could take on the world. Time to head to the flustered forest. Upon entering the forest, the world grew dark. Out in the fog, a lone figure stood. The mysterious figure greeted you.
Hello, traveler. What brings you to these dark woods? Don't you know better than to come to a place like this?
He had a soft tone and a sly cadence. There was something peculiar about him. Nonetheless, you knew you must help, so you extended a greeting and asked them their name.
You can call me Felix. I am the ward of these woods. I look upon travelers like yourself and pluck their futures from times yet to pass. These woods are dark and winding, the fog thick and unrelenting. It's all too easy to get lost in a place like this.
His words were ominous, and you couldn't help but feel a tinge of worry within.
How about I tell you your fortune, traveler? Advise you on whether it would be best to turn back.
Could this person really know your future? Maybe it could help to be prepared. Surely it couldn't hurt to see. It can't all be terrible. Felix ran his fingers across the crystal ball, staring intently into its depths, and then with a flourish he pulled forth his quarry.
Oh dear, traveler. You should go back, for it would be pointless to continue. Nothing will go to plan in these woods. If you continue, your future will surely be doomed.
You protested, telling the magician of your quest that you may be able to make the world a better place if you can but pass. He interrupts you. Your stomach sinks uncomfortably, and you couldn't help but notice how your heart had started to race.
You will lose your way. You will get lost. You can't do this. You will lose your way. You will get lost. You can't do this.
Even though you'd come this far, if your future was set within these woods, then...
Go back. Go home. I'm sorry.
With that, Felix makes a final bow before disappearing, leaving you and Pepper alone in the dark and fog. Was that an illusion? Did Felix make...
You're lost.
Well, that can't be right. Despite Felix's fears and predictions, you've made it another step forward. Surely that can't be true. It seemed as though Felix's fear of the future was what was hiding the way forward. By seeing through it, you continued to step through the dark of the woods. Felix tensed, eyeing you intently.
I told you to stay away from the woods. I know you can't do this. I know it will never work out.
Felix's stress was clearly mounting. He was struggling to manage his breaths, and his voice, once smooth, was now sounding strained.
You'll get lost or hurt or make things worse. and it will be all my fault.
As his words trailed off, Felix seemingly stared through you. He had started to tremble and sweat beaded on his brow. He even looked a little unsteady on his feet. You knew all too well how he must have been feeling, your own body having become just as uncomfortable. Fear radiated from Felix, pushing you away whilst also pulling in the fog. If you couldn't calm him down, then you will both surely remain trapped in the shroud. In times of distress, it is important to recognize early on the changes in the body that occur, otherwise known as the physical signs of distress. Help free Felix by recognizing the important physical signs for relaxation. He seemed a little calmer. Perhaps, if you could find him again, you could help him see through his fear.
are you so persistent? I concede. You found the bravery to push through these woods. Maybe you really do have what it takes. Good for you. But I don't. Even if you're strong, even if you can help the world, I can't. Everything I do will always go wrong.
All this time, Felix had decided, due to his fear, that he knew what the future would look like before it had even happened. But you had come this far. You only needed to clear the fog for him to see that he could too. You tell him that you understood the fear. You felt it too. The future can be a scary place. But perhaps if you helped each other, it didn't have to be so bad. Maybe our predictions are not always correct, even when we feel fearful that they will be.
No, I know how this ends. I can't. Leave me.
Despite his exhaustion, Felix looked somewhat calmer. The fog around the two of you had left, allowing you both a clear view of the world around.
Thanks. I didn't know the fog could lift from these woods. Maybe I don't know everything that will happen. Let's get off this mountain.
You had forgotten that the world outside of the woods was still day. And now, back before the magician's home, the space felt so different, swathed in sunlight. All the shadows had retreated, and the fog no longer hid away the beauty of the woods.
All right, adventurer. I will try to help. I'll find my own way to your home after I finish up here.
The way to the marshes had opened up. Come morning, you could continue your adventure. Upon returning to the glade, you see Nyla diligently keeping watch over your home, and stood meekly beside her was Felix. Upon seeing you, the captain waved you over.
Welcome back, hero. It is good to see you home safe.
You told Nyla of your travels through the woods, of all the illusions you had outsmarted, and of the new friend you had brought back. The captain patiently listened to your tale, nodding her head as you finished.
Good work. You have accomplished much today.
She then looked expectantly towards Felix, who after a pause looked to the floor as he quietly added,
Well done. Now to bed with you.
Between the good company and food, the room felt cheerful and more alive than you remembered it having ever been. It's nice. Maybe you should have friends over more often. Once more, Nyla offered to clean up. Thus, it was time for you to go freshen up. That always made you feel better. You felt a little excited for the coming journey. Even though the murky marshes are the next step, the support of your two new friends has given you a newfound vigor, a bounce to your step. The marshlands was steeped in a sickly green damper. The air was a thick haze, and the once clear waters glowed toxic green. As you stepped further into the mists, you noticed the huddled form of a man.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Why can't everyone just leave Marcus be?
The man Marcus berated you with questions, his tone defensive and panicked.
Oh, I know. Come here to poke fun at the crazy druid, to tell him how he failed. Well, don't bother. I know what you're thinking, and I'm tired of all the blame. Just leave me alone.
The instrument felt somehow calming, and you noticed a soft hum within its wood, one that seemed to urge you to play it. You took a deep breath in, and then let it out slowly, and then a large bubble sprouted forth from the note. It looked sturdy. You felt certain that you could stand atop it. Perhaps this would allow you to cross the water, provided there were none of those thorns in the way. As you approached the crystal, you felt a familiar tightness grip your chest. All of a sudden, it was hard to breathe. The rock radiated fear, and the closer you stood to it, the more overwhelmed you felt. It caused a physical sensation, overwhelming your ability to think. You needed to find a sense of calm, to take a moment, release the tension, and take a deep breath. That worked. The thorns no longer block the way. The crystal was assuredly out of reach. Perhaps if you couldn't get to it, a bubble could.
So, you stole my ocarina? You're a persistent one. You can't just leave well enough alone, huh?
As you approached, you once more felt that overwhelming wave of discomfort. But determined, you pushed through, offering Marcus the same help you extended to Nyla and Felix.
Help? You expect me to believe that? I know you have other intentions.
Marcus visibly recoiled from your kindness, taking a small involuntary step backwards.
No one wants to help me. You all blame me. You all think it's my fault. I don't want help. I just want to be left alone.
Marcus had once again retreated deeper into the swamp. He was determined to hide from the world, to avoid it at all costs. Perhaps he thought that by staying away from the world, he could control his pain and stay safe from it. You knew that didn't work. In the end, he would only grow more lonely and more lost in his fear. You wouldn't allow that. You had to find him. Maybe you could help him face his fears and overcome this discomfort. You stepped into the final breadth of the swamp, having navigated the maze to its endpoint, and here cornered coward Marcus.
You again. Why?
Immediately, Marcus lashed out, but this time he continued a little further.
I told everyone that I was sorry. It was my job to help him, to heal him, but I failed. I couldn't help Deimos, my friend, and now everyone hates me. But that's fine, because I don't want to show my face out there anymore. I'm perfectly happy right here in my swamp.
In his fear, Marcus assumed that everyone had to think the worst of him. You knew that wasn't true, and undeterred by his thorns, you assured him that you only wanted to help.
Don't lie to me. I know you do. I know you blame me.
You insisted that you didn't.
Yes, you do. It's your fault, Marcus. Just go away, Marcus. Hide away in your swamp. Never show your face again.
You took the final steps toward him and reached.
Just leave me. Fine. You win. No matter how hard I try, I can't seem to get you to leave. So what do you want?
Now that Marcus had calmed and was no longer pulling forth thorns, you again told him what you had been trying to say this whole time, that you only wanted to help. That together you could face the challenges of the world. Marcus stared at you bewildered, a blank look spreading across his features.
Why? What good am I?
In blaming himself, Marcus had assumed that everyone else had as well. He had convinced himself that he knew what others thought of him, even when he didn't. You explained to Marcus that that simply wasn't fair. He didn't deserve that. and that maybe others would think that he was brave to have tried, and that he was too hard on himself. Perhaps if you helped each other, then maybe you could help Deimos together.
Could I really show my face before him again? All right. I'll meet you back at your home. Oh, and you can keep the ocarina. You're not half bad with it. See ya.
Nyla remarked on having seen Marcus passing through and congratulated you on your progress.
Now I know it's getting late, adventurer, and you must be tired. But I'm afraid I'll need your help first. I'll meet you up ahead out front the fortress.
Nyla was stood before the large locked gate, but something seemed off. Since leaving the fortress, she had regained so much confidence, yet now any such vigor seemed to have left. The captain looked tired and worried.
We are stood before the gateway, the one which will lead to the throne of Yore, to Deimos. Now that you have helped heal the lands and grown stronger for it, your next adventure would be through here. And I am the one tasked with opening it, should I deem you ready.
The captain paused.
And you should be ready now.
She hesitated again.
It is my responsibility. I have to protect these lands. Protect you. If I were to make a mistake now...
Nyla's doubts crept over her. All the fears you had helped her dismiss were creeping back, crawling through her, and as you reached forth to comfort her, the captain pulled back once again.
No. It's too soon. We're not ready. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh dear, poor Nyla. There was no way past the gate without her. You knew you had to venture back into the fortress to find her. This was different. Before, you had simply thrown away Nyla's fear. But in the end, it had just come back. Perhaps the fear needed to be understood, not just avoided. Instead of getting rid of the bad thoughts, it was time to replace them with something more powerful and constructive. No power. Everything's locked down. No power. Everything's locked down. No power. Everything's locked down. With nowhere left to run, Nyla now stood upon the highest point of the fortress. The lands of Yore stretched beyond her.
I know you've come so far, and I know I encouraged you, but this isn't a game. This is dangerous. I've seen Deimos. There's no helping him. It's hopeless.
You approached your friend, capable of seeing all the weight that she had carried for so long. But this wasn't something that she alone had to carry anymore. Not now that you were ready to understand.
Do you really think we can do this?
You admitted that you didn't know for certain, but that was okay. It wasn't about focusing on the chance of failure or certainty, but rather just doing the best that you could.
But what if our best isn't good enough?
Just trying was good enough.
Okay, I'll try. Thank you. Let's get home. It's been a long day.
The last few days had been so busy. So much had happened, and you had done so much. Even so, you couldn't help but worry. Was it enough? Was Nyla right? Were you ready? As your eyelids drifted shut and the weight of sleep pressed down upon you, a prickle of unease crept at the corners of your mind. There was no going back that way. But then, where were you? Once more your worries and doubts flooded down upon you. What if they had been right? You had told Felix, Marcus, and Nyla that things would work out, convinced your friends that they didn't need to listen to their fearful or worried thoughts. But now all of their fear instead fell upon you. Perhaps they were right. Maybe this was all too much. Maybe you should have just stayed home.
Stop it! Why won't you stop?
Before you floated a blazing figure, her words just as hot as her flames.
This has gone on long enough. You need to stop.
You stared up at her in confusion. What needed to stop? What had you done? Who was she? Where were you? With all your questions, her glow increased, but her voice simmered down to a curt note as she replied with,
I am Cassidy, your dream guardian. I have resided over your dreams, kept your mind safe, but you've gone ahead and ruined everything. This adventure has torn everything apart. My realm is in shambles, filled with your anxieties. I burn with them. I will stand for it no longer. You are to remain here. Your adventure is over.
With her departure came so many more questions. You had a dream guardian? And your adventure had harmed them? You had never intended that. This was all quite a lot. But what was clear was that she was in pain and she desperately needed your help. Not only that, but she was your only way out of here. You had to go find her. The terminal was blocked with frenzied thoughts. Cassidy materialized before you.
You want to change my mind?
Were those her fears that you had just pushed through? They had seemed overblown, where smaller problems had been made to look far larger than they needed to be. Cassidy glared at you.
There's no reasoning through this. Your adventure will only make things worse. Keeping you here is for your own good.
The road ahead was blocked. As you approached the pile, it teetered before you. One wrong move and the whole thing would surely come crashing down. There had to be a better way. The tower had become just a bit smaller. Piece by piece, you had worked through the problem, and now the way once more Cassidy burnt before you.
So, you found a way past one problem. Do you think that means you can handle everything now?
The pile at first glance had appeared impossible, but when broken into smaller parts, it wasn't so bad anymore. Cassidy's flames dimmed for a moment as she thought over your perspective.
I'm doing this for you. I've seen your fears. This adventure is too much. It will burn you whole.
The figures of your three friends towered upon the horizon, each radiating with fear. Once within the mists, you felt the return of that foreboding dread. The fog had cleared, and both you and Felix could see clearly once again.
Thank you, friend. I get so caught up in my own predictions. But it's a relief to know that maybe nobody really knows what the future holds.
Upon stepping over the threshold, you were filled with a familiar feeling, the crushing weight of responsibility and despair. After working through the fear and anxiety, both you and Nyla felt a little better about things.
Thank you, adventurer. It can all be so much at times. It's good to be reminded that there is always hope.
Once again, your chest felt tight and you were gripped by a familiar sense of paranoia and guilt. After catching your breaths, both you and Marcus could see each other once more.
Thanks. I forget that I'm not always right. It's not fair to assume what others think of me.
Again, Cassidy appeared before you.
So you think you've mastered the fears of your friends?
Having thought through the past days, through the anxiety, their anxiety, maybe things weren't as big as they seemed. Cassidy flared with fire in response.
Then why are we here? This is all you!
As you drifted upon the shore of the island, you noticed how the air here felt thicker. The words that filled your head, they felt so immovable. But surely they could be fought, bent, moved around, and challenged in some way. Are the facts destined to speak for themselves?
I know things can be bleak, but you're doing your best. Don't give up. Don't overthink it. Things can always heal. And don't you worry, you're stuck with me now. Remember, traveler, do not lose sight of things. You can't conclude how things will end before they've begun.
Again, Cassidy burned before you, but now she seemed at the end of her patience.
Enough! You can't leave. I won't let you. Have you even thought this through? What if it all goes wrong? What if you make things worse? What if Deimos hurts you? You won't face Deimos. You won't play the hero. You won't play this adventure any longer.
After having released her bout of frustration, her flames simmered down, leaving her just sad.
It's not fair. I don't want to burn anymore.
You now understood her. All this anxiety, it was yours. Every doubt, every nightmare, it had all been passed from you to her. Now she burnt with it, overwhelmed, seeing everything as far worse than what it really was. Perhaps Cassidy had jumped to conclusions too early. You knew the fear, knew how it had taken control of your life. You had hidden in your home away from the world for so long, where the intensity of your anxieties had simply been too overwhelming, and it was scary to step beyond that. It was scary to reach out to others and let them into your life. And it was so scary to think that you could help the world, that you could overcome your own anxiety. But even so, it had also been fun. You had seen so many new things, solved puzzles, figured things out, helped others, and most importantly, you had made friends. It was scary, but it was more than that. With practice, patience, and help, you could do things to make it easier. You had learned to understand and manage the weight of your anxiety, whereby your unhelpful thoughts no longer need to control your life. Together you could take on the battle. Together you and the lands of Yore could heal.
Let's get back to the adventure, little hero.
You awaken to a new day, the rays of sunlight lifting away the dreamy void. What a dream! And what a day you had before you. Today you were to make your way to the crown of Yore, to Deimos. But as you took a deep breath, you found that the worry lessened. It was a nice day after all, and you still had the morning ahead of you. Cassidy waved at you cheerily, floating just before you in your room, in the real world, and not the dream.
Good morning, friend.
But how was she here?
Oh well, I thought since you had such a big day today that I'd try being in your world. So I took the boat with you.
You thought for a moment, and realized that you didn't really know all too much about Dream Guardians. Perhaps this was normal. You shrugged, deciding it must be, and invited your new friend to breakfast. The little room had never before bore such life and liveliness. This might just be the best breakfast yet. That truly was a good breakfast, the company even better. It might be nice to spend more mornings like this. The chatter of your friends interrupted your thoughts. Marcus, who had been admiring Pepper, spoke first.
It's a mighty fine gorge you've got yourself. You should show me around your garden at some point. Reckon I could give you a few pointers.
Felix then chimed in, timidly adding,
And I noticed you had a library. I would be happy to organize it a little if you would like.
followed by Cassidy, who interjected with,
Oh, and I would love to explore this reality if ever you wish to accompany me on a stroll. That'll have to wait.
Nyla's calm and stern tone spoke above the others.
Our friend has a big day ahead of them. Let's all stay focused and do our best to be there for them. Hello. I was hoping you would come by.
Felix stood surrounded by your book collection, very much in his element.
I just wanted a word before you left. I'm really grateful for you helping me. And I wanted you to know I've been thinking about going back to school to learn magic and not just illusions and tricks.
Felix paused, looking a little shy as he admitted.
I was too scared to try before. I thought I would only fail. But thanks to you, I want to try again.
He smiled, and with a little more confidence met your gaze as he said,
So, thank you. And just so you know, whatever happens up there with Deimos, I'll be there. And I believe in you.
Cassidy drifted over to you, her now peaceful fires glowing in the sun.
One thing, little hero, before you depart.
Cassidy smiled and spoke in an earnest manner.
I would like to thank you. Because of your help, I can finally think clearly again. And all my worries no longer feel so large and impossible. It's nice to no longer burn quite so hot.
She paused and then added,
Say, if you don't mind, I think I might take a break from your dreams. I would like to explore this world some more. And perhaps when this is over, we could explore it together.
More adventure? Well, why not? Provided there were no dragons involved, and this quest was done, you agreed to show Cassidy the lands of yore. Cassidy beamed, her fire sparking just a little. She then added,
And don't worry about today. I know you will do wonders atop the crown.
Marcus wanted to speak with you. The man looked slightly troubled. A furrow etched across his bushy brows.
I wanted to have a word with you before you left for the crown. You, know that Deimos and I were friends.
Back in the marsh whilst you fought, he had mentioned it.
Well, I know he's done a lot of damage to these lands, but he wasn't always like this. He and I used to tend these lands. He was great in the garden.
Marcus laughed before returning to a serious manner as he continued.
But anyway, one day he got sick, and I thought I could just heal him. But it wasn't the kind of sickness that a spell could remedy, and the more I pushed, the worse he got. We argued, and then went our separate ways. Now his fear poisons the lands.
Marcus paused, processing his regrets. He then spoke up again.
I know I gave up on him, but I won't make that mistake again. You showed me that.
Nyla greeted you with a calm smile.
Hello, hero. Are you ready for your journey to Deimos?
You were as ready as you could be.
Don't worry, I have a good feeling about today. I'll meet you up ahead at the gateway.
Out into the world once more you stepped, but this time you were truly ready for the journey ahead. Nyla beckoned you toward the gate, and unlike the day prior, she stood calm and confident.
Today I shall open the gateway to the crown of Yore. Come help me move these.
With the keystones in place, the ancient gate ground its way open. Before it stretched the road to the crown.
Good luck. I'll go back and ready the others. When you need us, we'll be there.
The way to the summit was blocked. The force field of negative energy had to be taken down before you could proceed. The crown lay barren and empty, seemingly a home only to the cold winds. Who dares enter my domain? The mighty Deimos had soared up from amid the clouds, to which he now stared down upon you, his voice loud and angry. He was massive, his body easily blocking out the sky, and for a moment you could do little more than stare. Answer my question, little creature! The great dragon demanded a response. This crown is my home, and I do not suffer the intrusion of any. Despite his mighty form and the fact that such a dragon could surely eat you in one bite, you stirred your fear and took a deep breath. You remembered all you had learned of Deimos, and knew that such wrath was born of fear and hurt. You had come to help. You were ready to tackle any problem that stood before you. Help? I don't need help. If you are to linger, it will be you who is in need of help. Leave, little one, before I have you for a snack. The dragon's threat stirred fear within you, but you held your ground. Deimos huffed, perhaps amused by your bravery, as he mockingly asked,
And what help could you alone offer me?
Not alone, a familiar voice called out. Our friend does not stand alone. Your allies spoke in unison, all having stepped up to face the great dragon.
Aye, and neither do you, old friend,
said Marcus, as he moved before the others to look upon his former companion. Agitation spilt out around Deimos, his fear and anger crackling through the air as he spoke.
I have no friends. I am a fearsome monster. Everyone fears me. Everyone gives up on me.
You knew this fear. Deimos had pushed his self-doubts outward onto others, believing that the world saw him the way his fear made him see himself. Marcus stepped up beside you.
No, Deimos. I know you are no monster. Let us help you.
Marcus reached out. But as he did so, Deimos began to panic.
No! I know what you think of me! You couldn't help me! No one could! That's why you gave up on me!
With the help of you and Marcus, Deimos calmed a little as he took a moment to breathe. Marcus then reached forward, gently placing his hand upon the dragon's nose. He kept his voice low as he softly said,
I'm sorry.
The calm quickly faded. However, as Deimos pulled away, the agitation crackling again around him.
No! I know how this ends. It's always the same. It'll just get worse.
Once more, Deimos was consumed with fear. As the fog pulled in, you and Felix stood together as the dragon's worries clouded around. Both you and Felix had found your way past the dragon's predictions, and having cleared the fog, the three of you could see clearly. Felix then took the lead and spoke up.
I know the future can seem foregone, and that things will never work out, but that's not true. Not always. Things can change. Maybe some things won't go to plan, but that doesn't mean everything won't. Sometimes things can work out, even when we don't expect it.
The dragon listened, but once again Deimos, even after a moment of clarity, pulled away, his fear rising. This time it twisted and churned into something heavy and hopeless. The world started to feel a little darker, and as the air became thick with despair, Nyla stepped to your side whilst Deimos cried out.
It doesn't matter! Even if I could change, it's too late now! The world already hates me! I'm too broken! There's no point!
You and Nyla had overcome the dragon's gloom, imparting a positive perspective onto the negative. Nyla stood confident as she stared up at the mighty dragon.
It's never too late.
No matter how bleak things can seem, there is always hope. Sometimes you just need help to see it.
Deimos considered the captain's words. His fight was gradually dimming, but he wasn't ready to yield yet. One final wave of burning, frantic emotion crackled around his body, and this time with Cassidy in the lead, everyone stood by your side, ready for the final push.
But it's been too long. No one would forgive me. I'll never have a place in the world again.
As the final embers dimmed, Deimos bowed his mighty head. With Cassidy's guidance, the flames had been quelled. And now, the dragon's fight had been spent. He was too tired to argue any further. Yet, despite his exhaustion, he had also calmed. So cautiously, you and your friends approached.
I don't understand. Why all this effort to help me?
You stepped before the tired old dragon. Everyone needed help sometimes, and Deimos had needed help for a long time now. Deimos sighed.
But haven't I caused enough trouble?
We all cause trouble,
Cassidy remarked.
and our fear's also been responsible for the land's despair.
Nyla stoically admitted.
And we were also perhaps just as lost.
Felix added. And then Marcus took a step forward.
And I should have helped long ago.
He met his friend's gaze, and the old dragon held it in turn as they replied with,
Perhaps I should have asked.
There was a pause, and Marcus smiled, followed by the two giving a small chuckle. Deimos then returned his attention to you as he asked,
But what of the world? I should have been its protector, but all this time I've failed in my duty.
The dragon bowed his head again, regret evident in his tone as he added,
And now it's been so long since I left, I'm afraid to show my face.
Deimos hung his head in admission. Healing would not be an immediate process. Things had to be handled one step at a time, after all. But you pointed out that, during your quest, the lands of Yore had already begun to improve. The mighty Deimos had once been a guardian to all of Yore. If they wished to, they could be so again.
Would the lands even want me?
Deimos asked. Marcus grinned.
Well, you could always eat anyone who doesn't.
Ignoring Marcus's suggestion, you steered the conversation and suggested just starting small. Instead of worrying about all of Yore, perhaps they could start with just coming down from the mountain.
But where would I go?
Deimos asked. Well, you thought, considering how long a day it had been. You paused as you thought, and then came to an idea. What if everyone came back to the glade and all had dinner together? Deimos quietly considered, whilst your friends conversed over the idea.
I don't think he'll fit in the house,
Felix remarked, to which Cassidy suggested,
How about outside then? Our friend has such a lovely garden. Yes,
agreed Marcus.
the garden. That could work. And bring the gourd.
And all the while, Deimos intently listened, nodding along to every suggestion. Then Nyla, ever dutiful, chimed in.
All right, everyone. It's getting late. It'll be dark by the time we get back, so we had best get a move on.
Everyone announced their agreement. And like that, it had been decided. You had just invited a dragon to dinner, along with everyone else. You hoped you had enough soup. Just like that, come
Your
morning you
adventure,
knew you were
at
ready
least
for
for
so
today,
many more
had drawn
adventures
to a
come.
close.
And now, not only did you have the confidence, but also so many friends to go on them with. After all the days spent inside alone, and all the worry you had from going on this adventure, you were surprised to find yourself excited for the coming days. It was still scary, and you knew you would have many a challenge ahead. But that was all right, because you knew that one way or another, you would be okay. Well, you had best get to it. The challenges that lay before you were all familiar. Your journey had already taught you the steps. You only had to take them. Marcus was right. Deimos really was a guardian. They must have really loved the lands of yore. Poor Deimos. Perhaps when this is over, he and Marcus can make up.